Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And I'm so sorry about last night when I was going to present this video. And I was just so tired. I don't know what's going on. I think I've lost my sleep pattern. You know, when you get a sleep pattern, normally I go to bed more or less the same time. You get up more or less the same time. And at the moment, I feel like I'm just sort of going to bed at all different times and getting up at all different times, and then often sort of waking up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep for about 3 hours. So I'm trying to get back into a sleep pattern. And last night I just went to bed literally about 8:30, and I've just got up now. So I'm always a bit brighter in the morning, to be honest. I'm not a nighttime person. I've told you that before. And then I've been trying to have naps so that I can do later lives. Anyway, so basically, I think I've just messed up my sleeping pattern, and I'm going to get back into it again. So I'm feeling a lot better this morning, all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, but I'm aware that I may it's very early, like for the UK. So I know a lot of you will have to catch up, be on catch up watching this. And thank you for watching. And I'm just there's not many people up at 6 o'clock in the morning, is there? But of course, it depends where you are. So I know some of you are in different parts of the world, which I'm not sure what time it is there. So I'm sure there'll be a few people on, but probably there'll be a lot of you that can't make it onto the live, but hopefully we'll catch up later. So as always, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. Thank you to everyone that watches my videos. And thank you to all my members, everyone who supports my channel in any way, shape or form. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll just say hello because some people are on or were on. Whether they're still on now, probably not. But anyway, hi Michelle, hi Maria, hi. I will look after myself. Thank you, Maria. Hi Rio. Too many late nights for you as well, and you've missed Kung Fu. So maybe I'll see you sometime this morning if the dog wakes you up. Hi, Desi. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for all your worrying about me, but I'm fine. I was just tired, that's all. And there's Kelly, and Kelly is in Melbourne. So it's 5 p.m. there. So that's not a bad time for you then, is it? So, yeah, I think maybe I've done too many videos. I don't know, or too much. And then, of course, with working as well. But, this happens to me sometimes. I am a bit of a workaholic. I like doing the videos. I like doing my Spanish classes. It's not light work, but I think every now and again you just have to sort of relax, don't you? Just like sort of burn out, and then but I feel okay now. Yeah, I was in bed by 8:30. I've slept well, and this morning I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Hi, Ty. Okay, so the story I want to tell you about this morning that, I wanted to tell you about last night, but this is so very sad. And, it's a lesson as well that, we talk a lot, don't we, about domestic violence, gender violence, but it's not only against women. Violence, breakup violence, if you like. Quite often when somebody breaks up with somebody, that's the most dangerous time, isn't it? If the other person is like got any traits of domestic violence or violence towards a partner. I don't know if I can call this gender violence, because this are two lovely young men who unfortunately have been taken off this planet by another young man. And it seems like it's probably the result of like breakup violence, because Jesse, who's on the right in this photo as we're looking at it, he had a brief relationship with the person, with the man that they think that it's imagined. Well, not imagined, that it's pretty certain, because he did tell them where the bodies were, that they had some sort of brief relationship. But then this, the guy on the left, Luke, he is Jesse's current partner. And, you know, it's thought that the person that has killed both of these, which apart from anything else, his name is Bo, he's a police officer. He's a police officer, and he has killed them with a police gun. So there's so much that's outrageous in this case, that he took out his police gun, like, you know, logged it out of the police station and killed them with his police gun. So that's another, you know, there's so many facets to this. And he was a policeman, a gay policeman. And I just want to warn our English viewers, and you know, I noticed on the Spanish TV, you do refer to the queer is used. In Britain, that's a bad thing. You know, it's not it's quite an insulting word. But I've noticed on all the Australian news, you know, that they quite often use the word queer, not in a derogatory way. So I just want to warn any English viewers, any British viewers out there, please don't, you know, take offence at it, because in Australia it's commonly used. So we've got this tragedy. So let me tell you a little bit about these. Now, Luke on the left, Luke Davies, he was in this relationship with Jesse. Now, I think the reason that this this case obviously is attracting a lot of attention, apart from being the awful, brutal murder of two lovely young men, is that Jesse on the right here, he was quite famous. So he's a TV presenter. So let's just have a look at some of the photos. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jesse. Hang on. So yeah, this is the couple. You know, I mean, they look so happy together as well. It's awful. How do people feel that they have the right, just because somebody doesn't want to be in a relationship with them, male, female, whatever, non-binary? What gives you the right, because somebody doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, to kill somebody? You know, get over it. We've all been left. I bet there's not many of us out there that at some point in their life have not been finished with, you know, told that they don't want to see them anymore. They've moved on to somebody else. It happens to everybody at some point, I think, in their life. So here is Jesse, another picture of Jesse. They're so handsome as well. And Luke, hang on, let me go back a bit. So there they get two of them together. And this is the twonk who's responsible for it. So this is Beaumont Lamarre, the policeman, a gay policeman. And the other thing, so he also, apart from the fact he's murdered two lovely young men who were in a relationship and probably very happy, cut that short, he's given the police a bad name, you know, because he's a policeman. So this will result in, you know, aspersions cast against the police. He'll give gay people a bad name. You know, he's just like, he's, you know, he's just, apart from the awful thing that he's done, there's sort of the ripples from this will, I mean, there already are, you know, the police are already obviously getting stick over this, how he was able to take his gun, you know, take his gun out to commit this crime. And yeah, there'll be you know, there'd always be some sort of horrible sort of thing about him being gay or whatever. So, you know, it's just wrong on so many different levels, and the ripples from this crime will go out a long way and for a long time. Now, I just want to say, so this was this is the thumbnail that I made for this video, because the Mardi Gras is coming up, and normally the police do take part in the Mardi Gras, especially the LGBTQ contingent of the police. But initially they'd been banned. Well, I've just heard recently, within the last, when I've been researching for this video, they are going to march. After all, the police are going to march in the Mardi Gras, but not in uniform. So they've come to some sort of agreement that the police can march, but they won't be able to wear their uniform. So we're going to have a look at how this sort of unfolded, like what happened. Let me find the right. Just need to find the right. Yeah, so this was has been a big shock, obviously, to the community in general, but especially the LGBT. Listen, I'm no good at initials, as you know, so I'm bound to say that wrong. Especially that community, the gay community. It's it's just been a big shock, and especially with the Mardi Gras coming up. So there's all these combined things. You've got the fact that Jesse is well known. So Jesse was born in 1998, I believe. Gosh. So he's actually about the same age as my son. And he was an Australian television presenter and an Australian rules football goal umpire. So he grew up in Melbourne. He worked as a presenter and a reporter on a number of Network 10 programs. And in 2011, he became an Australian rules football goal umpire. So he and his partner, Luke Davies, so Luke was 29, and they were last seen on the evening of 18th of February 2024. And Jesse was scheduled to umpire a pre-season practice match between Sydney and Greater Western Sydney on the 20th of February, but it didn't turn up for it. And then on the 21st of February, bloodied clothes, a phone, credit cards, keys, and an $8,000 watch belonging to Jesse were found in a bin in a skip. And when they attended his home, they found upended furniture. The police, then attended his home and found upended furniture, a large quantity of blood, and a projectile and casing that matched a police weapon. So that's how they traced it back to Beau, everything back to Beau. We're going to have a little closer look at Beau later, about who he was and what sort of person he was. And there's a lot of controversy about how he ever got into the police in the first place. And this is something that, of course, happens in the UK now. Maybe it's the same in Australia. That there's such a crisis of policing, certainly in the UK, that apparently, checks are virtually non-existent. We've had all these rogue police people, I should say, rather than policemen. And, who've gone on to do terrible things, such as Wayne Couzens. Well, Wayne Couzens was very high up in the police force. He was... and he ended up sort of murdering Sarah Everard. We've had a lot of this sort of problems in the UK too. There's definitely there's something going wrong with the way police officers are recruited if people like this can slip through the net. Anyway, he did hand himself in the end. Beaumont Lamarre-Condon. Well, Senior Constable Beaumont Lamarre-Condon, who was known as Beau Lamarre, he handed himself in to the Bondi police station and was charged with 2 counts of murder. And he apparently was in a relationship a few months before this horrible event. He was in a relationship with Jesse, and it's thought to be like a crime of passion, jealousy, breakup violence. So apparently they had an acrimonious ending to their relationship, and that's what's led to this. And then finally he did. So the police were but there were no bodies. The police were looking for Jesse and Luke's bodies for quite a while, but in the end, Beau, after he'd spoken to his lawyer, he did confess where they were, and they were found. They were in surfboard covers, and they were on a property in Bungonia in New South Wales. So that's the sort of sketchy outline, if you like, of what happened. Let's have a look at some videos. Kelly, what is it? I'm useless with initials, LGBTQ. Just useless with initials. So I hope people understand that I'm not being disrespectful. It's just me that I'm crap at initials. Okay, so let's have a look at this video. So, because gunshots were heard at the house, and there had also been, I'm not sure what the number is in Australia, but the equivalent of a 911 call or a 999 call. That's what sort of led the police to go to the house. So let's have a look at this video. So this was when they were missing.
All right, New South Wales Police are investigating the suspicious disappearance of former Channel 10 presenter Jesse Baird and his boyfriend Luke Davies. Bloodied items belonging to the pair have been found. Jesse's Paddington home has been declared a crime scene. Police say they're not excluding any lines of inquiry.
We do believe from the crime scene at Paddington and from property that was located at Cronulla that there has been some sort of incident, and that has given us grave concerns for one, possibly both their safety.
Now on that police breakthrough south of Sydney, detectives finding the bodies of Jesse Baird and Luke Davies in surfboard bags at a property in Bungonia. New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb joins us now in the studio. Commissioner, thanks for your time.
So this then is a news article done after the bodies had been found. Now, it's interesting, this woman, Karen, unfortunate name really, she's under a lot of pressure over this, and the way she's dealt with, just the way she's talked. Well, you may get an idea when you watch her talking. She's got a bit of a strange manner, I think. She's come under a lot of criticism, let's say, for the way she's dealt with the whole thing. So let's have a look and see what she says here and see what we think.
This morning, our hearts, of course, go out to the poor families of these two young men. It's just heartbreaking these past 6 days watching on. Have you spoken to them? We know they went to the scene. Do you know how they're doing?
No, I haven't. I spoke to the commander of the homicide squad this morning. He said that one family went, the other wasn't up to it, and that's certainly their choice. Our focus today, our focus today will be on continuing the search in the area. There's still more evidence to gather. We'll be working with the coroner's unit on determining when the postmortems will be held and supporting family. That will be the 3 areas of focus today.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely understandable. You can't even imagine the drive to the scene, right, for the family, to what they must be thinking, what must be going through their minds. You sort of made that revelation yesterday as it was darkening. Have you been able to move the bodies? Where is the investigation on the scene at right now?
Yes, the remains have been moved to the morgue at Lidcombe. But homicide and forensics are still on scene. There is a lot of evidence to process there. There is still a lot of work to be done. And as I said, the postmortem will be conducted in a few days probably. But it's a terrible time for everyone, for the family who are not from Sydney and they've come to Sydney. So we're supporting them, and the police will continue to support them through this process.
Police have previously said that the accused, Beaumont Lamarre-Condon, had a connection to the location where these bodies were found. Are you able to elaborate on that at all?
No, that's something that will be subject to the investigation. I understand it was an area that was familiar.
So here he is, Beau, the policeman that's been arrested. Now, yeah, there's some conjecture about whether he had any connection to where he's left these bodies. But they haven't, as she's explaining there, they haven't said yet. Maybe they don't know yet. But do you know what this guy did? He rented a white van after the murders. He rented a white van, put the bodies in the van, took a friend of his with him, a woman, to dump the bodies, but she didn't know it. So the police have said that, as far as they're concerned, the woman had nothing to do with it. She was totally unaware that she was driving in this van with Bo, with the bodies in the back. And then when they got to where they were going, it's thought she was left at the gates of this property, and he went and disposed of the bodies, and then took her back, and then went back there another time. But he did tell her in the end what he had done. So, you know, it's a very, I mean, what did it, I mean, he must have planned to do it, because he took the gun out of, you know, he was off duty, so he shouldn't have had his gun. But he actually signed out the gun, so he was planning it, and that won't go well for him, because it's not, you know, you can't say it's a crime of passion when you go and log out your gun and take it with you deliberately. You know, he meant to do it. He did mean to do it.
Familiar to him, but to what extent really is not fully known at this stage. But certainly familiar enough that that's where he went, although the bodies were located about 20 minutes away from the dam that he first went to.
It's been some really incredible and diligent police work, particularly from the homicide detectives, who we know were only able to speak to the accused yesterday. What was the hold up there? Why wasn't he cooperating previously?
Oh, I think that will be before the court, but I understand he engaged new counsel yesterday, and there'd been a shift, and we reacted immediately, so which led us to the outcome where we are today.
Yeah, because initially he wasn't saying anything, but when his lawyer turned up, that obviously there'd been some discussion, and the lawyer has said to him, look, you've just got to tell them where the bodies are if you want to, you know, because he was going down one way or another, but if he tells them where the bodies are, he might get a bit of leniency, but he shouldn't get any leniency. Not his, you know, the premeditated murder of two young men. What leniency can he get?
And the families know where their loved ones have been.
So there is a bit of a shift. There's been a change in his demeanour.
It's hard to say. I mean, he's in custody. He's been refused bail, and it may depend on his legal advice.
The police gun that was allegedly used by the accused here is obviously the centre of now a new review. I think a lot of people, including myself, were quite staggered at the protocols that were in place that allowed this to happen. You said yesterday that you can't have this happen again. Why can't we just see change right now?
Oh, certainly I'm looking to move quickly. And I think the other point, though, I'd like to make...
Kelly was just asking there if the friend reported him. I don't think I'm not sure. It might come out in one of these that we're going to watch, because I think he was arrested on the basis of the fact that they found the bullet from the weapon and they traced it back to him. I think that's how he first came into the police's remit, if you like, but it may come out as we go along.
Make is that this person has been deceptive in the way he's gone about the access to the firearm. That is not the behaviour we see of police officers doing their job every day. So there's a degree of deception, and we will allege that.
Yeah, because it's raising this question now of how was he able to sign out his firearm when he wasn't on duty? So, you know, there'll be sort of furore about that. But I think it's true what she's saying there. You know, what can you do? Because what apparently he did was he said he needed it for... it was something indirectly to do with his police work. So maybe they're going to have to make those checks stricter, you know, rather than someone just saying, oh, I need this because I'm going to this event or whatever. They need to see they're going to start asking for proof of whatever event it was that you need your firearm for. But the other thing I think is, all right, he was off duty and he signed out his gun, but then really, would it really have stopped him killing these men? Because otherwise, could he not have just done it while he was on duty? You know, like, you know, I think when people have made a decision, people like this have made a decision to do something foul, like he had made a decision to do it. Would anything have stopped him? All right, he had access to a firearm, which, maybe he shouldn't have done because he was off duty. But otherwise, he would have had access to it when he was on duty anyway. So, if someone's determined enough, I mean, I'm a great believer, to be honest, that if somebody really wants to do something, they will find a way to do it one way or another. And then if he didn't use the firearm, he probably would have used a knife or something else. So, I don't know if it would have stopped him, well, we'll never know, will we, if it would have stopped him. Also, you think, he's not very intelligent, is he? If he didn't realise that his gun would be traced back to him, I mean, or was he just not even thinking about that? I mean, he did make attempts afterwards to cover his tracks and hide those two boys' bodies. So he didn't just leave them there or go and hand himself in immediately. He did hand himself in the end. Because he knew that they were looking for him. But did he not, if he's a policeman, did he not realise that, he actually left a casing behind and a projectile, apparently. So it was immediately traced back to his gun. So did he not realise that that would happen? So why even bother hiding the bodies in the first place? How did he ever think that he was going to get away with it? Or did he feel he had more time to go back to the scene and clear up? I don't know, but very odd. Whether the guy obviously isn't, full shilling, as my dad used to say.
In the way he's accessed the firearm.
But shouldn't there be safeguards in place?
Well, that's right. And I agree, there should be. And that's why I've called for review, and that's why I've invited a senior officer up from Victoria to look at it and make those changes. We started the review, we've started an audit immediately, but certainly looking to change where we can and improve things where we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's too late for some. It's an absolutely heartbreaking outcome, but this is something that we know isn't in place in other states. And so it is the first priority for you.
Of course.
Now, you personally, Commissioner, have come under fire for some of the language that you've been using, some of the words. I watched that press conference yesterday, and it did feel a bit like, all over the shop in a way. We got a lot of information from you, but we weren't quite sure.
Yeah, there are some strange things she said. That's what she's under fire for. She made a quote from Taylor Swift, didn't she? Because of course we must remember, put it in context. Taylor Swift has just been there in concert, hasn't she, in Melbourne. And there's been, Taylor Swift's been all over the news. So I don't think it was just like plucked out of the air. There's a lot of context to it, that Taylor Swift has been, a big sort of news thing in Melbourne, etc., in Australia because of her tour. But yeah, she made some comment like, well, haters got to hate, that's what Taylor says, which is probably not an appropriate comment for someone in the police to say. But there's a few other things, at the end of the day, I think as far as the police is concerned, the public will never be happy, really, will they? There's always, the police are an easy target to criticise, and they do a difficult job, and unfortunately, not all of them do it well. And then you get twonks like this guy, this Beau, who's giving, the people will be like angry towards the police.
Sure, who we were hearing from and so on. As you've addressed before, the crime of passion is something that you regret. Yesterday, you said you were very grateful to the accused. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, you're in a position where you do have to front the cameras. Is that criticism fair?
Oh, I think the comment about...
Yeah, that's the other thing. She said she was grateful to the accused. And obviously what she meant was she was grateful that he had finally said where these bodies were. But, perhaps, just perhaps unfortunate choice of words. And, of course, when you then... I mean, most of the time, police, they're not in, like, these high-profile cases, she's all her career. It's like with the Nicola Bulley case, the Lancashire police, etc. Probably most of the time they're dealing with whatever they're dealing with, but they're not actually on the news, national, international news with most of the cases that they deal with. So I don't know, maybe it just didn't think, I don't think she probably, well, she definitely wouldn't have said it for badness, but perhaps it was a bit unfortunate.
About being grateful is grateful that the family now knows and were able to know yesterday where their loved ones were. if that information didn't come forward, we would still be searching. So we're grateful that the information came forward in a way that the detectives could act, and we could tell the families and take the families to their loved ones.
Are you comfortable with your role taking in the part where you have to face the media?
Of course I am. But as I keep saying, I'm the head of the organisation. I've got 22,000 people in the organisation doing great work right across this state. It's a big jurisdiction, 9 million population, more than 500 police stations, big communities to look after and big challenges. And whilst we had the 2 murders that we've now found the bodies, I had 7 murders last week, and I had an additional murder yesterday morning.
Yeah, see, now that's not really the, she's not, she's, and it's weird because it's true what she's saying, oh, well, we had 7 murders last week and I had an additional murder yesterday. But it's not the thing to say, is it? It's like, oh, got to take this in context sort of thing, because loads of murders, she's not really self-aware of what she's saying, because to me there, when she said that, it'd be like, and especially if I was Jesse or Luke's family, I'd be thinking, well, because at the end of the day, anyone who's murdered, the family thinks that's the most important case. And although you may have other cases, it's not really a helpful thing to say that, is it? It'd be like me saying to one of my students, who's studying Spanish, and they say something, oh, I'm really struggling with this exercise and can you help me? And I sort of go, oh, well, I have got another 20 students, you may even think it, but you certainly would not say it. So, maybe she's just not experienced enough in that, or maybe she's just, telling it like it is. Let me know what you think.
And that's just one crime type. My priority is to support the police to do their work and to keep this community safe.
We know this is a very complex and emotional and difficult investigation for police, obviously allegedly involving one of their own. Is there anything you reflect on here, anything you might have done differently?
About
the investigation, the processes, the protocols?
Oh, certainly. As soon as the police became aware that Jesse and Luke were missing, we responded to the calls. There's been a manhunt on since it was reported. And so the fact that we were able to resolve this matter and have someone charged before the court within a week is a good outcome. And what is better for the families in particular is that we've located their bodies.
What happens now for you in terms of the investigation going forward and what the public can expect to hear?
Now, actually, the girl had asked her, the interviewer had asked her, what would you have done differently? She didn't say anything that she would have done differently. She was just concentrating on everything they'd done fantastically, But sometimes I think the police, that's sometimes where they go wrong. They need to admit fault where there is fault. I know that she's there to defend the police. That's her job. That's her role. That's her. But, sometimes a little bit of humility doesn't hurt, sort of admitting that maybe they could have done it a bit better, or maybe there was something better they could have done. She's not doing that. She's just, no, she hasn't done anything wrong according to her.
From here on in.
As I said, it's actually a slow process now because we need to be methodical. We need to collect the evidence. Today there will be a continued line search in that Bungonia area to collect evidence. We believe there is additional evidence that we need to collect. Forensic investigators are on scene as well. There are other crime scenes around the Sydney area. We'll continue to investigate those. There are lots of statements to be taken. There are Crime Stoppers calls to be followed up, and there will be the post-mortems at some stage.
The police have come under a bit of fire from the board behind the Mardi Gras, being uninvited. You had a meeting with them yesterday. Where's that sitting now?
Yeah, so this sort of resulted then in the Mardi Gras coming up, which normally all the police, certainly the police that were part of the gay community, but also, many of the police would normally attend. It's like a pride march. Don't know why they call it Mardi Gras. Is it like a pride march? It's the same, or what's the difference? Why is it a Mardi Gras rather than a pride march? I don't know. But anyway, normally the police would be there. The guy who's murdered these two men, he would have been there. They would have, you know, and then the police were, of course, it's this weekend. The police were supposed to be there again this weekend, but they were then uninvited by the organisers, said that they don't want the police there. But as I say, I've just read an article not long ago, just this morning, saying that they have decided now they are going to allow the police to be there, but they're not going to be allowed to wear their uniforms.
That was a really good conversation, and it was good to hear what their concerns are. And obviously the issues in that community are quite raw. We'll continue those discussions over the next few days.
It's difficult, isn't it, when you find yourself in a position like this as a police force member, right? I mean, it's one of your own that's involved, but it's also...
I do think it's really good the way that it seems to be so open in Australia. For, you know, it looks like that people that are in the police, they can be openly gay, whereas I don't know if that's really true in Britain, is it? I don't know. Is it now? I mean, would somebody feel comfortable going into the police and from day one saying what their sexuality was? Or do you think in the British police nowadays it's still a bit sort of hidden, or, you know, people feel uncomfortable with it? But from what I've seen looking into this case, it just seems like completely open, which is of course a good thing. But unfortunately now this Beau guy has sort of, you know, sort of, what's the word, cast a tinge over that. You know, it's like what he's done will have repercussions, or will have ripples going out. I mean, I'm sure it will get resolved, and I'm glad the police are allowed to go. But of course now the actual gay community will be sort of a bit anti-police, having said, you know, now that a policeman has actually murdered these two young men. It's so raw, that's the thing. I mean, probably if it was 6 months on, it wouldn't have the same resonance, but it's raw, isn't it? It's just happened, so it's very delicate.
This expectation from the public, and around, you know, we mentioned the Mardi Gras, it must take a toll on officers.
Well, as I've said, we've participated in Mardi Gras for the last 20 years, and we play a critical role, not just participating in the parade, but we police the event in terms of making sure that the public is safe.
But that's almost a backdrop, isn't it, to what's involved here for you? Like we heard from one of the lesser experienced media-wise detectives yesterday saying that, you know, we felt deflated when we didn't get a result, but then we pick ourselves up again.
Of course.
That itself must be so difficult.
That's what we sign up for, though, and that's what draws us to police work, that we actually don't give up. We just keep going.
All right, Commissioner, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Appreciate it.
Good to have your company this morning. Thanks for joining us. First up, police are filling gaps in their timeline of the murders of Jesse Baird and Luke Davies following the discovery of their bodies south of Sydney.
Police believe New South Wales Police Constable Beaumont Lamarre-Condon murdered the couple on Monday morning before hiding their bodies on a rural New South Wales property 2 days.
So there was a little bit of a timeline here of what happened. So at 9:50 a.m. on Monday the 19th of February, the gunshots were heard at their address at Jesse's home. So I wonder if he went there and surprised them. Anyway, at 9:54, a 000 phone call was made, but gets disconnected. That's very distressing, because obviously one of the men, either Jesse or Luke, I suppose Beau could only kill one at a time, couldn't he? So I expect he'd killed one and the other one tried to make a phone call, or maybe hadn't quite died yet, and then it gets disconnected by this horrible man. And then on that same evening, then on the Monday evening, this Beaumont Lamarre-Condon allegedly hires, so everything's got to be allegedly because of course it's got to go to court, but allegedly hires a white Toyota Hiace van from Sydney Airport. So he hired that van expressly to hide the bodies. So, you know, I think he's not, they're going to throw away the key with this guy, because not only he's obviously planned it, because he checked out his gun from the police station, he then, you can't call it a crime of passion because he then starts trying to cover his tracks as well, but not very well, of course. But
morning before hiding their bodies on a rural New South Wales property 2 days later.
So now it was good that this bloodied clothing was found in the skip bin at Cronulla, because I think that's what alerted, somebody had obviously found that, alerted the police. How the police then, I think, have traced it back to Beau. And in the meantime, the accused visits this property in Bungonia, which they haven't said yet whether he's got a connection to it or not. Takes his friend along with him. Oh my God, that poor woman, what she must be thinking now. So she's in that van. Anyway, she helps him to buy an angle grinder to cut a padlock on a gate. I mean, what did he say to her? Why did he say to her that he wanted to cut that padlock on that gate? I mean, I'm just sort of putting myself in her position. I'm thinking, so, my mate, he asked me to go with him to this place, and then he asked me to help him buy an angle grinder to cut a padlock on a gate. I mean, what did she think he was doing? I mean, at the end of the day, she was his friend. He'll have come up with, I'm not blaming her, don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking how she will feel now. What sort of a surreal journey that must have been, So your friend phoned you and says, oh, can you just help me out with something? And of course, if for your friend, you'd say, yes, of course I'll help you. And then what do you need? Oh, I need an angle grinder to cut a padlock on a gate. Oh, right, okay. What would you do that you'd be thinking, what? But anyway. And then that same day, as that was happening, at 1 p.m, the crime scene was declared at Jesse's property. And then at 11, this guy, Beau, he buys weights and he returns to that rural property. This time, he goes back alone. So whether he dropped the bodies off that first time that he went and then went back to do whatever to weigh them down, because they were found in, I think they were like surfboard covers. Gosh.
Now, after the alleged killer finally came clean to detectives yesterday, officers believe Lamarre-Condon returned to that property between the late hours of Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, moving the pair's remains to a separate location about 20 minutes away.
Let's go live now to Jack Hahn, who's at the scene for us in Bungonia. Jack, family of Jesse and Luke have visited that crime scene overnight.
Yeah, they made the trek to
the poor families. And the thing is, it's strange what he did, because he went back there and moved them. But then after that, when he heard, I think he must have heard that they were looking for him, he did hand himself in. So what did he think? He was just going to be able to blag his way out of it? I mean, for God's sake, what was going through his head? Move the bodies and then go and hand yourself in. Do you think you can just brazen it out?
this secluded spot on a remote road about 10 minutes off the Hume Highway near Goulburn. The family given special permission to access the crime scene about 7 o'clock last night. They were led in by specialist plainclothed detectives to say their final goodbyes to Luke and Jesse. Now, there were twists and turns in the 6-day search. An area from Goulburn to Newcastle was combed for clues, but ultimately the mystery was solved yesterday afternoon with the discovery of the 2 bodies. Here is how New South Wales Police broke the news to the country.
Extremely deflated, but it's not in our nature to give up. So we rallied again and have come upon a wonderful result for the families.
So that was the officer in charge. She had no formal media training.
A wonderful result for the family. I mean, they're not very good, are they, at choosing their words, these police. It's not a wonderful result. I mean, of course, it's good that the bodies have been found rather than never knowing where they are. But I wouldn't, that's an unfortunate choice of words, isn't it? Again, you wouldn't call it a wonderful result. Wonderful result would be that these two lovely boys were still alive. they definitely need some sort of training, these police, in how to, you know, what to say. I mean, what we'd say it was a sad result, but at least some consolation that, you know, not a wonderful result. A wonderful result would be them found alive and well.
She never addresses the camera. She's the one on the ground doing the police work, but she decided to speak yesterday and speak about the efforts of police. She was describing the disappointment that her officers were feeling after that search. About 20 minutes away on those 3 dams showed no signs of the 2 men, but they rallied together, going to interrogate the accused killer, and they finally made a big breakthrough yesterday afternoon. Officers,
you know, it's just look at them. I mean, you can tell they look happy together, lovely. You know, just awful. These horrible people that think that they can, you know, that take somebody's life just because they can't be part of that. You know, these guys deserved. It's like they just found each other. They're, you know, just starting off in their sort of relationship. They look very happy together, and now it's all been taken away from them by that one.
Worked around the clock, and this morning they are happy to give some comfort to the families, friends, and loved ones who continue to grieve.
Thank you, Jack.
Now to the...
Okay. So let's have a look at a different video now. Morning, Nick. Hello. Some people will probably be just getting up now. Hi, Nick. Right. Where am I? So let's just have a look a little bit about this Beau Lamarre, who he is, and what we do know about this man. So there's a lot of criticism, as I say, that he's even in the police in the first place, because he's got a backstory. So a lot of people are querying how he ever got into the police. So let's have a look at that. So this is like a radio show where they're talking about him.
Like Australia, their rental homes and hotels.
I got the street.
The celebrity fans are ordinary people who work out where celebrities will be staying or dining or shopping. Once we would have called them autograph hunters. Now,
yeah, because it turns out that this Beau, he is celebrity obsessed. And of course, Jesse was a celebrity. You know, he was quite well known in America, Australia, on Australian TV as a TV presenter and, you know, the rugby commentator. So, you know, he's quite well known. So maybe that's where the interest started with Beau, with Jesse. Sorry, actually, it's not rugby, is it? It's Australian football that he was a commentator on.
now they're looking for one thing only, the most valuable commodity of all in this social media age, a selfie.
Hey, Court.
Kourtney Kardashian was in Sydney with her husband Travis Barker earlier this month, and mobbing her, along with the Paps and the other celebrity fans, was a dark-haired guy aged in his late 20s.
Over to the left, Court. Lady, can I get a picture?
His name is Beaumont Lamarre-Condon, and he got a selfie with Kardashian, which he uploaded to his Instagram, to go with the shots of him with Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Dua Lipa, lots of the world's biggest names. But the thing that makes Beau Lamarre-Condon different is that he's a serving New South Wales police officer.
It was as if he was essentially hanging out, quote unquote, backstage with them. But the reality of it all was that he'd spent hours waiting outside her house and followed her to take a quick 3-second selfie with her. It really gives a fascinating insight into his mind.
Liam Mendez is a reporter with The Australian. He first met Beau Lamarre around 10 years ago for the first time at a movie premiere.
See, so he met him 10 years ago at a movie premiere. So 10 years ago, Beau would only have been 19. So he's obviously celebrity obsessed if he hung out outside one of the Kardashians' houses to get a selfie. You know, which is not, people do that. I mean, people do that. It doesn't mean anything in itself. It's quite unusual, I think, for a police person to do that. But, you know, why not? I suppose as a human being like everybody else. But just shows that he's got this celebrity, you know, bearing in mind that Jesse is a celebrity. Maybe that's what attracted him to Jesse in the first place.
Where Liam was taking photographs.
Lamarre-Condon was in his late teens, quite skinny and scrawny, which is obviously quite different to his appearance now. But what really stood out to me was his pure obsession with certain celebrities. He would spend hours at red carpets, airports and hotels waiting to get photographs with these celebrities. And the interesting thing is that he built this online persona that he was friends with these celebrities and that he was hanging out with them. He also asked me to photograph his 20th birthday party.
To the media in Sydney, Beau Lamarre-Condon has seemed a bit of a curiosity, this slightly eccentric-seeming young cop.
Another interesting part of him was his social media profiles, where he had all of these photographs of him apparently jet-setting away on private jets, and he was carrying expensive designer bags, but in reality, he was driving around in a 2012 model grey Holden Cruise. He really wanted to paint a certain picture of himself online. It was a very curated image.
It sounds like a bit of a sort of Walter Mitty character, doesn't he? He's not living he's inventing the life that he'd like to live. And you're right, Kelly, maybe that he thought this job would get him closer to celebrities. I suppose he would have to attend, you know, celebrity things where celebrities were likely to be. So poor Jesse, because it seems that, you know, could he, if it wouldn't have been Jesse, would it have been somebody else? You know, he's latched onto Jesse's, ended up having a relationship with Jesse or some kind of relationship. That's what they're saying. I mean, he's probably said it was a relationship. Maybe they just had a brief encounter, you know, and then Jesse, unfortunately, then perhaps couldn't get rid of him, didn't realise what he was like. So anyway, I don't know, but sounds like he was sort of inventing. This is what people do nowadays. You know, I've got really sort of on social media like Facebook and all sorts of things. People can just be who they want to be, and you don't know who's real and who isn't.
A few years ago, a different kind of video of Lamarre-Condon went viral. The video showed Lamarre-Condon in Darlinghurst, in inner city Sydney, in his police uniform, which in the New South Wales Police includes a taser, capsicum spray, and a semi-automatic Glock pistol, tussling with a 31-year-old man. It's 2020. Lamarre-Condon is shouting, "Put your hands in front of you now." That crackle you can hear is the taser, as Lamarre-Condon fires it in close proximity to the man, Chris Bradshaw, who has his hands up to protect his face. Bradshaw was later convicted of intimidation and resisting arrest. Lamarre-Condon gave evidence at his trial, and a police investigation cleared Lamarre-Condon of any wrongdoing.
Right, just while I've been on there listening to that, I found that video. So let's have a look at that video of him tasering this guy. So here's the video.
Hey, Dad, fuck that. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground now. 5 seconds. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Go in the coffin. If you move, I will tase you. Get the fuck on the ground.
Oh, there you go.
What the fuck are you doing? What you fucking doing that? Put your hands. What are you doing, man? Put your hands in front of you now. Put your hands in front of you now. Are you serious? Hands in front now. Yeah, I'm trying to protect my face. Put your hands. I ain't fighting you. Are you kidding me? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, he looks a bit, you know, I mean, listen, he's arresting that guy. The guy was sort of resisting arrest, but apparently this video went viral of him doing that. He does look a bit psycho there with the eyes as well.
What the fuck? You ain't recording this moment. Come out. Why are you running? Is it warrant? The warrant?
Let's just go back to the beginning of that.
Hey, get the fuck out! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground now! 5 seconds! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Put your hands down! Put your hands down. Go in the coffin. If you move, I will chase you. Get the fuck on the ground! Get down on the ground! Ah, you cunt! Get down on the ground! What the fuck are you doing? Get down on the ground! Why are you fucking doing that? Put your hands. What are you doing, man? Put your hands in front of you now. Put your hands in front of you now. Are you serious? Hands in front now. Yeah, I'm trying to protect my face. Put your hands. I ain't fighting you. Are you kidding me? What the fuck is this? Sorry, that was 1-6.
Yeah, his eyes are a little bit psycho, aren't they? But oh, what do you think about that? Anyway, I'm going to go back to what we were listening to now. So very sad, isn't it? So finding that the clothes, the bloodstained clothes, etc., in the skip led them to go round to their house. So this is before, you know, Beau had said any, you know, handed himself in or anything like that. He will have probably been transporting the bodies at the time. Anyway, so this was the first police conference, and of course, because of the fact that Jesse was famous, you know, was a celebrity, this attracted more attention. You know, like that Karen woman saying, oh, well, we had 7 murders last week and I had 1 murder yesterday. You know, totally tactless thing to say. But of course, Jesse's murder attracted more attention than most because of him being famous.
This is Homicide Squad Commander Danny Doherty.
Detective Superintendent Danny Doherty, Commander Homicide Squad, State Crime Command. This morning, just after 10:30 a.m, police arrested a 28-year-old man in relation to the suspicious disappearance of two men from Paddington. He was arrested at Bondi, taken to Waverley Police Station, placed in custody. The update is, at this stage, charges have been submitted for 2 counts of murder.
Forensics officers searching the house found a spent cartridge from a gun. Not just any gun, a police-issue Glock.
One of the main line of inquiries would be a strong line of inquiry that there's been a firearm discharge, which we've already established. So we found a projectile and a fired cartridge case which matches a police firearm, and that firearm belongs to the 28-year-old man we've charged today.
God,
It's important to
I mean, could you imagine that for the police? I bet he dreaded coming out to say that. So when they found the bullet or whatever and they've run it through ballistics and it came up that it was a police gun, you know, that it came from. I mean, it's great that they could identify it in one way, but I bet their heart must have sank because they must have just thought, oh God, I've got to go out now and say that this bullet came from a police gun. You know, you could imagine, can't you? It's just like, oh, for God's sake. And there it was from his gun. You know, the thing is, he planned it all, but it was rubbish, his plan, wasn't it? You know, he planned it, take his gun out, went and shot them, then took them off, you know, left the projectile there. And then, you know, so it's calculating in one way. You know, somebody was saying there maybe he'll end up claiming diminished responsibility, which I think he'd struggle to do that because he planned it and also he tried to cover it up. And normally, if it's diminished responsibility, it's normally like, you know, something that people do in a moment, isn't it? But then you think, as I say, he's not the sharpest tack in the box because he didn't plan it. He might think he's clever. He's not clever because he just made a complete hash of it, just leaving the bullet there in the first place. Even I know that, and I'm not a policeman. I'm not a ballistics expert, but we all know you don't leave a bloody bullet at the scene if you don't want to be identified when it's come from a gun that you've signed out. You know, I mean, so maybe he'll use that as a way of saying that he did have diminished responsibility. I don't know, but he's certainly not very clever.
note, Beaumont Lamarre-Condon has been charged but hasn't yet entered a plea to the charges. And of course, until the matter reaches court, these are unproven allegations. One of those police allegations will be that Lamarre-Condon checked the Glock out of the station where he works in a youth command, engaging with at-risk young people, before committing the murders, then checking it back in to another station. It'll also be alleged he was previously in a relationship with Jesse Baird.
So he checked it out to take it to, hang on, rewind. Let's see that again.
It'll also be alleged he was previously in a relationship with Jesse Baird. One of those police allegations will be that Lamarre-Condon checked the Glock out of the station where he works in a youth command, engaging with at-risk young people.
Oh, so he works in a youth command engaging with at-risk young people. And he checked it out of one station. He checked the gun out of one station and checked it back in to another station. Oh my God, so, you know, it's just terrifying to think that people like this are working with at-risk young people. You know, where's the checks? Come on. I mean, I don't know what they can do better, but don't you think, I find that chilling that this guy was working with at-risk young people. Really, really do find it chilling because surely just even investigating his background on social media where he was making things up and his obsession with celebrity and stuff like that should have been enough to stop him getting in the police and getting hold of a gun. I don't know. You know, just seems ludicrous.
Before committing the murders, then checking it back in to another station. It'll also be alleged he was previously in a relationship with Jesse Baird. Coming up, what happens next and why this case is deeply sensitive for the police and the victim's community. While I've got you, The Australian's been breaking all the news on this story, and our subscribers are on top of every development with app alerts, newsletters and live updates around the clock. Check us out at theaustralian.com.au, and we'll be back after this break.
Oh, let me just fast forward through the break.
But on Friday, police said Beaumont Lamarre-Condon was refusing to reveal anything.
All right.
Suffice to say, we believe we've got sufficient evidence.
.com.au right now.
Okay.
But on Friday, police said Beaumont Lamarre-Condon was refusing to reveal anything.
Suffice to say, we believe we've got sufficient evidence to charge. But in terms of information that we've received directly from that person, no, it hasn't assisted us to date.
Danny Doherty said police weren't yet ready to declare a cause of death. What police are alleging is that Lamarre-Condon fired his weapon at the Paddington house, and they're alleging he killed both Davies and Baird and took their bodies from the scene in a white van he'd hired from near Sydney Airport. There are allegations Lamarre-Condon then sent messages from Jesse Baird's phone, telling Jesse's housemates he'd decided to move across the country to Perth. The message allegedly said he'd come and collect his furniture, but a subsequent message purporting to be from Jesse asked the housemates to put the furniture out on the street.
Yeah, there you go, messages. That reminds me of the Anna Knežević case in Madrid, which apparently the FBI and the police are really, there's no news coming out about that, but there are developments going on there. And that was Anna, who disappeared from her apartment in Madrid, and then messages were received afterwards that her family and friends said didn't sound like they came from her. So he did this as well. I think this is quite a common thing in this age now, in the digital age. Quite often when I've watched true crime things, afterwards the perpetrators use the victims' phones to try and make it look as if they're still alive, try and present an alibi, a reason why they're not contacting, oh, I'm going off to see a friend, or I've had enough of it all, try and insinuate that maybe they've deleted themselves. I think this is quite a common thing that perpetrators do now with mobiles, when that they take from their victims, which is awful. But the thing is, what they forget is even messages. We've talked about this. Your loved one's messages. You get messages regularly from your son, from your husband, from your wife, from your daughter, from your sister, friends. The way people do write messages in a certain way. And if you get a message, it happened with Gabby Petito, didn't it? Her partner who'd killed her, Brian, he sent messages to her family saying they were from Gabby, but they knew they weren't from Gabby because they weren't the way that Gabby would write a message. And I think was it her granddad? She would never have referred to by his name, but these messages that were coming to Gabby Petito's family were calling him by his first name. I think it might have even been Stan. I'm not sure. I don't quote me on that. Can't remember his name, but that's it. So it was obviously Brian sent that message. He's referring, instead of saying granddad or whatever Gabby called her grandpa, he was referring to him by his first name. So straight away, when the family received those texts, they're thinking, that's a funny way for Gabby to talk about her grandpa. So anyway, so messages. So he'd done that as well, sent messages supposedly from Jesse saying, he was going away for a while and various things. So the full thing will come out in court, obviously. But he's like not exactly the brains of Britain or the brains of Australia, is he?
On Friday, Lamarre-Condon turned himself into police and was arrested. Now he's in a cell on remand, that is, awaiting his court appearance in the notorious Metropolitan Remand and Reception Centre in Sydney's Silverwater.
Oh, the notorious said, well, he's not going to go down well in prison, is he? A policeman in prison is never going to get a good time, from the other inmates. I wouldn't be surprised if he's being kept solitary confinement for his own safety, to be honest. And also the fact that he's killed a celebrity probably won't go down well if people, so he's not going to be popular, let's say, in that remand centre. So I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't being kept in solitary confinement.
Or to jail. When cops go to jail, they're generally put in protective custody in a cell by themselves and only allowed to mix with other prisoners in protection. All this is happening in a place and at a time that's very meaningful for the LGBTQI community. Paddington, where the murders allegedly happened, is right at the heart of the gay community, and it's the spiritual home of the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, a month-long festival that's happening right now. The famous Mardi Gras parade is this Saturday, March 2. The parade's a celebration these days, but for many years it was a protest against discrimination and violence suffered by queer people, especially at the hands of police. At the first...
Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, in Australia they do use the term queer, it seems like commonly used. So I hope people won't get upset by that. It's just the way they talk about in Australia. Because, of course, in the UK, I don't know about in America or other countries, it's a bit of a derogatory term, isn't it, that we probably wouldn't use. But, yeah, so they're right in the middle of sort of, I suppose, the equivalent of Pride Month. The Mardi Gras, the processions, etc. And as I was saying earlier, after this happened, at first the police were uninvited. The police normally attend every year and march with the other people, and he's been a part of it every year. This guy who's just murdered these two gay men, so it's like, it's bad enough. How can I explain it? Or it's like a double deviance, isn't it? Because it's bad enough that he's murdered two people, but he's murdered two gay men, and he's given, it's like gay men or women get enough discrimination, enough problems from heterosexual people, like enough gay bashing, if you like. You don't expect another gay person to do it. It's like to do the violence. It's like a double deviant to do it, to actually hurt, people that you should be defending because you are part of that community. Do you see what I mean? It's like when a mother does something to a child, it always seems worse because it's like a double horrible thing. It's horrible for anyone to do something to a child, but when it's its mother, it just seems like that much worse. That's how this feels to me. It's like, he, as I was saying earlier, not only is casting the police force into disrepute, he's casting his own sexuality into disrepute by doing that, just because it seems like it's some sort of breakup violence. But then again, it draws attention to the fact that we have to remember that, we talk a lot about gender violence, but it can apply to anybody. It's not only men doing things to women, or it could be women doing things to men. It could be anything. So maybe it's just, we talk a lot about gender. I do on this channel, don't I? I follow a lot of cases of women that have, their partners have done something to them. So that's why it's especially important for me as well to follow this case, because we always have to remember that there is no exclusivity in domestic violence or breakup violence or whatever. It's not just one gender against another. It's unfortunately can be anyone, and it's important to remember that. We've always got to be careful.
March back in 1978, police bashed and arrested dozens. Now the cops march proudly in the parade.
Oh, so there has been, just so they're saying, like in 1978, it would have been like these marches were more like protest marches, and the police, you know, were very sort of, you know, she said bashed. You know, they use this word bashed, don't they, a lot in Australia.
March back in 1978, police bashed and arrested dozens.
So in 1978, during one of these marches, the police bashed and arrested dozens, but now they march with them. So there has been progress. There has been progress. We've got to remember as well, be positive, there has been progress in these things.
Now the cops march proudly in the parade.
Mate, I can't hear a word you're saying. But I tell you what, the police marching band is coming up here. 12,500 reasons to smile.
Did he say 12,500? That's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot. So yeah, the police normally march with them. So that, as I say, they are going to be marching with them this weekend, but not in uniform. Normally they march in uniform with them.
The marchers in blue include both gay and lesbian liaison officers who work directly with the community and the most senior police, all the way up to Commissioner Karen Webb, the first top cop ever to join the march. Webb has over the weekend given a formal apology to the community after a special inquiry found police were often indifferent, negligent, dismissive or even hostile to the families of queer people murdered in hate crimes in decades past. Webb will be marching this Saturday too, with a community that hasn't forgotten the past and which is waiting for answers about the loss of two much-loved young men.
Yeah. So yeah, very sad. Just a very sad situation, isn't it? Two young men, just, well, their lives taken, looks like just through jealousy. Let me see if what other video did I have another video set up. Right, hang on. No, I think that's it from this case. Now, I'm just debating whether to, so I've got some little things to show you. So that's it. So the guy's in custody. The bodies have been found. Poor Jesse and Luke, their poor families, they've, you know, be starting to learn to deal with it all now. They'd just be in shock, I would imagine. And it'd just be awful, you know, that the bodies have been found. But having said that, at least they have got them to bring home, to give them a decent burial. They're not going to be wondering where they are. Now, of course, the other case that we're following in Australia, that is not the case. Still, I nearly spoke in Spanish then. Still, Samantha Murphy, the mother of three who went off for a jog a few weeks ago at 7 o'clock in the morning, has still not been found. And, you know, although the police have said that it is unlikely that she will be found alive, it would be nice at least if her remains were found and, you know, the family could get some closure as to what's happening. I cannot imagine what her children are going through, not knowing where their mum is. And two of the children are quite really young. And the other one's like a teenager, but, you know, that's a bad time. I mean, there's no good time to lose your mum, but could you just imagine, just as they're suffering, the way they'll be suffering at the moment, the person they want is their mum. And of course, Samantha is not there. So, and we don't know where she is. All we know is that the police are now saying that she is probably not alive. Now, they don't know for sure. Oh, there's one more video. This is a video that I did want to show you about Karen Webb, what she said about Taylor Swift, which I thought it was a little bit strange. Let me find it. just want to show you that this video of Karen Webb, which is another of the reasons why she's getting criticism, because she made this comment about, you know, she commented about...
You don't have to convict everyone. You don't have to convict anybody. But to stand up there and speak and be human, wasn't that a mistake not to do that?
What I did on Sunday was I spoke to Jesse's family. What I did yesterday was spoke to Luke's family. And if they're watching this morning, because they've flown into Sydney from interstate, if they have flown in and they're watching...
So this is Karen Webb. This is the policewoman in charge, and she's just made a few faux pas, let's say, you know, saying the wrong thing. I still think she's a bit oblivious, but anyway, I'm sure she doesn't mean it, but she's come under a lot of criticism.
Watching this show this morning, I want them to know that we are doing everything possible to find Jesse and Luke.
Do you think you should be criticised for the job that you're doing at the moment, because you have been?
Of course, but there will always be haters. Haters like to hate. Isn't that what Taylor says?
Yeah, she makes this quote about Taylor Swift. Just strange. And in that other interview we watched, she said, well, there were 7 murders last week and I had another murder just yesterday. You know, she said she's unfortunate, I think, in her choice of words.
But I've got a job to do. As I said, it's a big job. This is just one of many jobs. We actually had 7 murders last week.
Oh, she said it again. This is just one of many jobs. What?
You don't have to convict everyone. You don't have to convict anybody. But to stand up there and speak and be human, wasn't that a mistake not to do that?
What I did on Sunday was I spoke to Jesse's family. What I did yesterday was spoke to Luke's family. And if they're watching this morning, because they've flown into Sydney from interstate, if they have flown in and they're watching this show this morning, I want them to know that we are doing everything possible to find Jesse and Luke.
Do you think you should be criticised for the job that you're doing at the moment, because you have been?
Of course, but there will always be haters. Haters like to hate. Isn't that what Taylor says? But I've got a job to do. As I said, it's a big job. This is just one of many jobs. We actually had 7 murders last week.
Oh my God. Just one of many jobs. So stuff you, Luke's family and Jesse's family. You're just one of many families. Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, she's coming under some criticism. Yeah, quoting Taylor Swift. Yeah. Now that's there's a big difference that the police that we've seen being interviewed about Samantha Murphy so far haven't made any of those faux pas. Great, thank God for that. Anyway, sorry, let's go back to Samantha now. She's totally out of taste. Yes, Kelly, I have. So I'm going to show that article that there's been no breaks in the Samantha Murphy case. I just want to show you some information you probably won't have seen before, some theories that people are having, you know. Okay. Let me just, I want to put the windows down from Jesse and Luke's case, and then I can. Okay, so in the Daily Mail, the good old Daily Mail, what would we do without the Daily Mail? To be fair, the Daily Mail are trying to keep this story alive, if you like, and at the end of the day, we need to keep, you know, we don't want this to turn into something that's not talked about. You know, Samantha needs to be brought home to her family, and the more publicity, the better, in my opinion. So let's have a look. So the Daily Mail is reporting this explosive new theory emerges in Samantha Murphy's search after the mum vanished without a trace 24 years ago. I was going to say days ago. So this person, a crime expert, has come out and said that her killer could be joining these search parties. I do think that's entirely possible, because murderers tend to try and involve themselves in cases, don't they? So a crime expert has suggested Samantha Murphy's killer could be lurking among search parties for the missing mother of three, posing as a good Samaritan. It wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. So we'll just remind ourselves of what happened. Samantha hasn't been seen since leaving her home in Ballarat East at 7 a.m. on February the 4th to go for a run in a state forest on the outskirts of the city. So this guy, we've got a new expert now. There's various experts have sort of weighed in on this, as they do, and ex-detectives, etc. And this is legendary Melbourne newsman John Sylvester, who said detectives are investigating if Miss Murphy's killer is someone in the Ballarat community volunteering their time to look for her. Now we know that the local people, volunteers, have gone out there selflessly to search time and time again, he told Radio 3AW on Wednesday. Police will be considering that one of these searchers is the killer, in that they've inculcated themselves into the situation to be seen as part of the community, but also keeping an eye on what's going on. Well, that is definitely possible, isn't it? You know, and I think that's commonly, let's have a listen. Just have to get through the ad.
The local people, volunteers, have gone out there selflessly to search time and time again. Police will also be considering that one of those searchers is the killer, in that they have inculcated themselves into that situation to be seen as part of the community, but also keeping an eye on what's going on.
Oh, it's clicked off. I was going to watch it again, but it's clicked off. So, yeah, you know, it's always a possibility. Where's that gone now? Why can't I get back to it? How annoying.
With unparalleled.
Right, I have to stop. I don't want to watch about the river cruises. Takes you off to adverts, unfortunately. Let's go back to it, to the article. Oh, that might have gone now. So let's go on to this next thing that I wanted to look at. So again, this is the Daily Mail saying that the smash repairs business, I personally think the smash repairs business might hold the key here. You know, something concerned with their business may well hold the key to this situation. The police seem to be focusing on it, but maybe that's just, you know, they just have to, obviously, so doesn't necessarily mean that it is connected, but it means the police are obviously investigating. So this is what the Daily Mail say. A smash repair business in regional Victoria with a strong reputation is now a major focus in Australia's most baffling missing person investigation. The Inland Motor Body Workshop, owned by missing mother of three, Samantha Murphy, and her husband Mick, is the largest in the Ballarat region, northwest of Melbourne. Miss Murphy has not been seen since leaving her home in Ballarat East at 7 a.m. on February the 4th to go for a run in a state forest on the outskirts of the town. And there we go, this unforgettable picture now of Samantha, the last CCTV photo of her before she left on that run. So speculation outlaw motorcycle gangs with customers of the shop have swirled amongst the Ballarat community since the 51-year-old vanished. The Ballarat community is no stranger to bikie violence, with a senior Bandidos member shot at its clubhouse during the club's national run just months ago. And Victorian Police Missing Persons Unit Superintendent Mark Hatt. Now, something that was quite interesting is that I read that not Mark Hatt, but the other guy that we saw talking, Shane is called, I think. he has been called in to help with the Jesse Baird and Luke investigation. So yeah, because this, of course, has been taken over now by the missing persons investigation team, which is led by Superintendent Mark Catt, and we watched him. The last police press conference was with him fronting it, but before that, it had been a guy, Shane. Can't remember his surname, unfortunately, but he apparently is going to be helping with the other inquiry about the 2 murdered boys. Sorry, I call them boys because they're the same age as my son. They're not boys, they're men. But so he did confirm the panel beaters' books were being closely examined by detectives. And police also reportedly took away a number of items of interest. So he said, absolutely, we are looking at everything we possibly can to find out what happened to Samantha, but the results of that line of inquiry would not be discussed, nor would he say which vehicles had been searched or where they had been obtained from. Now, of course, what's causing a lot of complications as well at the moment are the bushfires in the area. You know, so the searches this weekend have been called off. Not the police, that there are no police searches as far as we know at the moment, but the community searches have been abandoned because of the bushfires. Now, it says here, asked if police had executed any search warrants in relation to the search, Superintendent Hatt refused to say. But then later on a news sort of video that I showed in they did say that multiple search warrants had been issued. So the motor shop's website describes itself as Ballarat's preferred choice for smash repairs and has developed a strong. Yeah, we read out about the website. I've done that a couple of times, told you about the website. Then they're showing, as always, they like to show this picture of Mick laughing, which could be significant or maybe not significant. I mean, see, to me, the policeman is laughing as well, isn't he? So who knows what the reason is for Mick smiling there? We weren't privy to the conversation. I wondered if he might have said, oh, there's those idiots again, like the press or whatever. That could have brought on a smile. So we just don't know. Okay. So yeah, remember that they have ruled out. Sorry, so she was Samantha was wearing an Apple Watch, but no information has been revealed from that, or not said that it's come from that. They've ruled out the notion that she disappeared due to a medical episode or because she wanted to. And they claim that the 7-kilometre run to where her phone went dead took her more than an hour, which is about half an hour longer than it should have taken her. And also, Mr. Hatt suggested that, although he didn't say it specifically, that whoever helped her to disappear or made her disappear had specifically targeted her, because he did say specifically, we have no intelligence or evidence to suggest there's any risk to anybody else. Now we've looked at that. I've got another. Now, those of you that are in Australia, hang on. May know this person. I don't know them. Sly of the Underworld. Who is Sly of the Underworld? Or is this the guy? Is this the same guy that we heard talking? Anyway, this person, whoever he is, Sly of the Underworld, has commented on missing Ballarat woman Samantha Murphy, who hasn't been seen since going for a jog. In these sort of circumstances, the victim has no secrets, he said. Let's have a listen to this. Or is this what we've just listened to? Oh, it's wearing, but it's not playing.
Everyone's talking about the sad disappearance of Samantha Murphy from Ballarat on February 4. Lots of different theories, none of which are worth repeating here because you don't want to speculate about something like that. What we do know is that it's not a disappearance as such, not someone who's orchestrated the disappearance. We know it's not self-harm, and we know it's not a medical issue. Why? Because the area has been searched, and they're very confident that if somebody had fallen down one way or another, they would have been found. So that leaves you with the suggestion of foul play and probable murder. Now, we know that the local people, volunteers, have gone out there selflessly to search time and time again. Police will also be considering that one of those searches is the killer, in that they have inculcated themselves into that situation to be seen as part of the community, but also keeping an eye on what's going on. Now, this is the missing persons police. Now, you remember that Samantha
Oh, it is the same guy. It's just a longer interview.
Russell is the police officer of the year from missing persons because of the work that she had done. Mm-hmm. Now, these people are picked because they're methodical and they're very patient. Things can change, but at the moment, no one's thinking there's going to be an earlier arrest. Lots of different theories are being looked at because in this sort of circumstances, the victim has no secrets. You have to go deep into that person to find out, potential enemies or what it could happen. One particular theory that they're looking at, surprise, surprise, the person of interest turns out to be totally cooperating. So it's probably not there. There'll be many false dawns on this, but look for the long term, and these are the best at the long-term investigations.
That's interesting. I'm going to play that again, actually.
Everyone's talking about the sad disappearance of Samantha Murphy from Ballarat on February 4. Lots of different theories, none of which are worth repeating here because you don't want to speculate about something like that. What we do know is that it's not a disappearance as such, not someone who's orchestrated the disappearance. We know it's not self-harm, and we know it's not a medical issue. Why? Because the area has been searched, and they're very confident that if somebody had fallen down one way or another, they would have been found. So that leaves you with the suggestion of foul play and probable murder. Now, we know that the local people, volunteers, have gone out there selflessly to search time and time again. Police will also be considering that one of those searches is the killer, in that they have inculcated themselves into that situation to be seen as part of the community, but also keeping an eye on what's going on. Now, this is the missing persons police. Now, you remember that Samantha Russell is the police officer of the year from missing persons because of the work that she had done. Mm-hmm. Now, these people are picked because they're methodical and they're very patient. Things can change, but at the moment, no one's thinking there's going to be an earlier arrest. Lots of different theories are being looked at because in this sort of circumstances, the victim has no secrets. You have to go deep into that person to find out, potential enemies or what it could happen. One particular theory that they're looking at, surprise, surprise, the person of interest turns out to be totally cooperating. So it's probably not there. There'll be many false dawns on this, but look for the long term, and these are the best at the long-term investigations.
Right, so that was very interesting. So he's saying that one of the persons of interest, and he presumably means Mick there, though he doesn't mention him, is said to be cooperating fully. He said, don't look for an early resolution to this. Look to the long term. So there's quite a few interesting things that he said there. So anyway, that's really it as far as Samantha's concerned. So as I say, no. As far as I know, there's been no police. Let's just have a look. Oh, somebody's just sent me that radio statement. So it's so kind. Thank you. Lots of you sending me articles, anything that you think are interesting. Often I've seen them already, but sometimes I haven't. Because obviously I am always searching for information. But I really appreciate. Hi, Tina. I'm just about come to the end of it now. I really appreciate people sending me articles, etc., because quite, it may be something that I've missed. So it's always good to receive new information. There you go. So that was an early morning live. Well, early morning for me. I know some of you are in different places where it's an evening live. But that was the live that I was supposed to do last night, but I was just too tired. So if there's any information, any update, of course I will let you know about some. I mean, as far as Jesse and Luke are concerned, I think that case now, the guy's in custody. It's just a case of waiting for the bodies have been found. It's just a case of waiting for the actual court case now. But if I do hear anything that I think you'll be interested in, obviously I will let you know. But of course, the Samantha case, which reminds me, got to light the candle. I need some more candles, I think, at this rate, if they don't find her. And this is not only lighting the candle for Samantha and hope she's found soon, but also little Cielo, the little boy. I hope they find him in the river soon. I mean, that doesn't look very positive. I don't think they're going to be finding a live 2-year-old, but at least, to recover him and take him back to his family. And also Anna, who's in Madrid. It's the candles lit for her that they find out what happened to her, who's Anna Knezevich, that I've been following. And as always, the murderer of Rachel Marin, please let him be caught. Why has he not been caught yet? So these are the cases that we're particularly following at the moment, aren't they? So the candle is lit either for the recovery of those people or for the resolution of the cases. Yeah, Michelle, you can go back to the beginning and watch it. You can watch it on. It'll still be there on them. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to split it into 2 videos. There's one video obviously about Jesse and Luke, and then the video and the update of Samantha. And I will release them as normal videos as well, not only as live. So, but it'll still be there. Anyway, have a good day, all of you. Live and love wisely, carefully. Enjoy your days, whatever you're going to be doing, and make the most of them, because life is short, as we know, and we have to make the most of every moment, don't we? So thank you, and I'll see you really. Oh, don't forget to put your fingerprint on the like button, please. And if you're not subscribed, so I want to say hello to those of you that are watching on catch up or watching at home. Thank you so much. And if you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. It's completely free. And if you subscribe, if you press the notifications bell, then you'll get updates of any. Then you'll get notifications of any update on these cases. So thank you. Till I see you again. May your God always go with you. Bye.